There is something incredibly limiting and stupid and frustrating about the American educational system. And I'm not talking about the obvious flaws of tests and grades that everyone knows and hates. I am talking about the perceived need for everyone and their dog to go to college after high school. If you have been educated in the US, if you live in the US and went to school, whether that be, I don't know, middle or high school, it doesn't really come up in elementary school for obvious reasons. But in middle or high school, you have probably been bombarded with the thought that if you do not get a college degree, you will be a minimum wage worker at McDonald's for the rest of your sad, lonely life. Which is incredibly stupid. Which, I mean, for obvious reasons, that's not the case. But this narrative of college equals success is just so ingrained into American society. And it's so dumb. There are other options after high school. There are other options in college. There are trade schools. You can get an internship. You can get an apprenticeship if those are still a thing. I would like to do that. You can just start working and work your way up. You do not need to go to college to have a successful life. You do not need to get a degree. You do not need to get a PhD. You do not need to put yourself through the amount of stress and anxiety and frustration that college provides. You can go out and build yourself a set of technical skills by going and learning and making mistakes, doing what you want, not going through this regimen of classes and just hating every minute of it. The narrative that you have to go to college to be successful, you have to get a degree to be successful, is harmful to everyone. There is no winner except for the colleges. Teachers need to stop parading this narrative around that college equals success. Yes, in some fields, a college degree is necessary, but that is not true for all fields. That is not true for the majority of fields. I'm sure that encouraging people to go to college was meant to be a motivating factor. Oh, go forth and, after you have graduated high school, go forth and learn more stuff. But that is not what it is in the modern day. In the modern day, the idea that college is success, and if you do not go to college, you are a complete failure, and you will only ever work at McDonald's, it's not motivating. It's not motivating. It's terrifying and stressful, and it's just teachers, please do your best to get rid of this narrative. American teachers, I'm not sure if it's an issue elsewhere in the world. I'm sure that it is, but in America specifically, please be the person who goes against this narrative. You have to get a degree to be a teacher, of course, but that's not the only option for a job. That is not the only option for a future. Can you just, in elementary school, you're taught you can be whatever you want to be as long as you work hard. Why does that narrative go away after you enter intermediate school? Why is it that once you enter intermediate school, high school, you are pressured into going to college as the only option? That your work does not mean anything anymore unless you get a certificate saying that you have spent 4 years hating every minute of your pitiful little existence. hating every single class you take and not knowing why you're even here doing what you're doing. If you're a student and you are going to graduate soon, or you've been stressing out about college, please know that it's not the only option. There are other ways to be a success in life. There are other ways to live your life other than going to college and getting a paper saying, I've completed all these classes. I kind of know what I'm doing. Theoretically, I know exactly what's going on. But in actuality, I probably don't, because all I've done was study and pass the test and then forget every single thing that I learned. But hey, I have a fancy paper saying that I know everything about this field. Or at least I know the basics of this field, which... There are legitimate reasons to go to college. But that should not be touted as the only option. If you're a student who's stressed out about college, please know that there are other options out there. You could just start working. Enter the job field. Take a year off to figure out what you want to study. If you're a teacher, please deconstruct this narrative around college, especially around the students who reach higher, those in honors, AP classes. Because I feel like I was an honors and AP student for my entire high school career, for my entire intermediate high school career, and it's just, all it's done is just add to the stress and the pressure to go to college. I went to an awards ceremony and I got an award at school, and every other person who got the award, there was probably like 10 of us, was asked, what college are you going to and what major are you going to study? There was one person who said that he was not going to college. Everyone else said that they were going to college and they were studying engineering or aerospace and other stuff like that, and it's just, I wonder how many people there that's actually what they wanted to do. That is not just the path that they were forced into, but it's actually something that they had an interest in and wanted to further study. It's sad that I have to ask that question, but honestly, I didn't want to come to college in the first place. I should have explored my other options. People should have told me my other options. I should have been presented with everything that my life could be, and now I'm kind of stuck here. I mean, I could leave at any time, but then what would I do? I don't know. I was not prepared for this. I was prepared for after high school you go to college and then you get a degree and then immediately you're hired right out of college. That is what I was trained for. That is the entire narrative that I was presented with. My entire, high school career. And I know how stupid and false that sounds, but that's the only narrative I was ever given. And now that I'm here, I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't know what I was doing in the first place, but now I really don't know what I'm doing because I have entered into a major that I don't know anything about, that I don't know how it will help me. I am in student debt that will be paying off for the next 20 years. Now, this is not me trying to complain about college. I see the advantages of it. I like learning, and I can see the advantages of having a higher education and being taught by professionals in the field and learning all of these skills. And I'm one of the fortunate ones. I go to BYU, which is it's an incredibly cheap university, where other people are paying $20,000 a semester. I pay $2,000-3,000. So people out there have it a lot worse than me, but that just makes the issue that much worse. Because for the people that are being pressured into going to college and are going to all these prestigious schools, but they don't actually want to be there, they're getting in even more debt than I am. And they're going to be paying off this debt for years upon years upon years. And, like, if they decide that college isn't for them, you still have like $80,000 in student debt that you're going to have to pay off for this thing that you were pressured into, that you never wanted to do in the first place. And it's just so frustrating. I've heard that in other places in the world, in the UK, in Europe, that the culture around going to college and getting a degree is not the same as it is in the US. And other places, and I may be completely wrong. If I am, someone please correct me. In other places, college is for those who have a serious interest in something and want to study it. And they know exactly what field they're going to go into, and they have to go to college. It is not a one-size-fits-all. After high school, you go to college. That is just the way things are. While in America, everyone and their dog is going to college, because that's just the next step. You don't need to... I know I'm just repeating this, but students, high school students, intermediate students that happen upon this video, know that college is not the only option after school. There are so many other options. Go work with your parents in their business if it's something that interests you. Go find a job that interests you. You can work at McDonald's if that's your thing. It's nothing to be ashamed of. If you like fast food, if you like working in that environment, more power to you. Go and work there. If you want to be an engineer, well, try building things. Try building things, and if you find that you absolutely hate it, then do not go to college for engineering for a degree in something that you hate doing. Explore your options. There are trade schools, there are internships, you can join the workforce, you can do so many other things than going to college straight out of the gate. And I wish that these options had been made to me before I was 3 years into college and $20,000 in debt. But they weren't. That's definitely partially my own fault for not exploring my options, but it's also partially the fault of my educators for pushing this narrative that college is the only option after high school. That if you do not go to college, you will be a failure for the rest of your life. You will work minimum wage for the rest of your life. You will not have enough money to move into a house. You will not have enough money to get married and support a family. All of these things, it's a lie. It's a lie, that's what it is. The narrative around college in American culture is a lie. Teachers, if any of you are watching, I don't care how old you are, how old-fashioned you are, this narrative around college is nothing but hurtful and stressful and false. It's a lie. It's a lie that has been propagated for far too long within American society, and probably other societies as well. I wish that I had been given other options. Well, I was given other options, but I was not told about them. I wish that I had known that I could have just started working out of the gate and worked my way up. I wish that I had known I could have just done what I liked and sold it. I wish that I could have been told that working minimum wage at a McDonald's was okay. that was not a bad thing. That I should be aiming for something so incredibly high that I could just jump to that location after college, that I did not have to start down and work up. I don't know if that made any sense, but yeah. There are other options outside of college. Teachers, please tell your students about this. Parents, please do not pressure your children into going to college if that's not what they want to do. Students, know that there are other options out there, and that it's your decision what you want to do. It's your life. I know it's kind of hard to imagine sometimes, because for 18 years you have been getting up and going to school for 6 hours a day for basically your entire life. And I know it's kind of difficult sometimes to imagine that you have a choice. You have a choice in your career. You have a choice in your life. And you should build a life that is enjoyable, that does not stress you to the point of making a stupid video explaining the shortcomings of this particular part of American society. Oh boy, what am I doing? It's your life. You can do whatever you want. You do not have to go to college. You do not have to fear for your future. You can build it to be whatever you want it to be. Despite what the schools and teachers and everyone else around you may say. It is your life. You choose what to do around what makes you happy and what you want to do.